Good morning. It is Wednesday and it is day number 20 on the court. And I thought for day number 20 I would give you 20 ideas that you can play for games on the court. Next week when I play a game with some people that asked if I could play some games with them, I thought I'd look up some different games to play. So I went to Google and found 20 games that I'm going to tell you about. And today it's just a perfect temperature. The sky is very overcast, ready to let down the rain. Look at those ominous clouds. And so I'm here on the basketball court with the most perfect of weather, as long as it doesn't rain. But I've played in the rain before, so it's not going to stop me. But anyway, I would like to get started right away just telling you quickly about 20 different games you can play on the court. And the first game is one-on-one. And tomorrow I'm going to give the rules about one-on-one playing, one person versus one, or 2-on-2, 3-on-3, that type of thing. So you can just play a game. Usually you play at half court, which is about right there at the half court line in between the two different basketball hoops. The second one is horse. And I think that's a very, very popular game. I played it as a young child. And how you play horse, if you have two players or more, the first person shoots the ball, and if they make the basket, then the second person has to make it from that exact spot where they're standing. If they don't make it, then they get the letter H. And you can play this with more than two players. Just continue to play with a third, fourth, and fifth player. But I'm going to just explain the games with two players. So the first player will once again pick a spot on the court and try to shoot the basket. And if they miss, then the second person can choose any place on the court, anywhere, and then they make the shot, and then the first person has to make that shot, or if they miss, they become the first letter H, horse. You're really spelling the word horse. Whoever gets the full word spelled out is the loser. So every time you miss a basket that somebody else has made ahead of you, you accumulate a letter, H-O-R-S-E. And once the first person to spell the word horse out is the first person to actually lose. The other person wins. Now, if you're playing with more than one player, then of course the first one to spell the word horse is just out of the game, and the play will continue until everybody either spells horse and there's one person standing. That's the end of the game. The second game is called knockout or bump out, and I think this is a very vigorous and aggressive game. So if you like those type of games, this is funner with several players. You line up right here at the free throw line. Everybody has a ball. The first person will shoot the basket, and if they make the shot, then they get the rebound and go to the back of the line. So you're in line here at the free throw shot, or free throw line, and the second person will make the shot. If they miss, though, they have to get the rebounds and try to make a basket before the next person makes their shot, and pretty much they can knock each other's shots out of the basket, and that's kind of a very fast-paced game. The next game, number 4, is 7 or 7-up, and the way you play that game is you have actually, I forgot how to play this game. When I get home, I'll explain this game. Okay, I'm at home, and this is a little insert for game, the 7-up game, because I couldn't remember how to play it when I was on the court. But the way to play the game is kind of complicated, and I think that's why I didn't remember. So if you have maybe 3 people who are playing, let's say the first one makes a shot, 1 bucket. The second one makes a shot, that's 2 buckets. The third one goes to make a shot and they miss. Well, there's 2 buckets in the pot, so they get both those buckets. But the first one to 7 loses. So you don't want to reach 7 buckets. So if you miss a basket, you get all those buckets. And so then you start again. Someone shoots a basket, the next one shoots 1, and the next one shoots 1, and that's 3. And then the fourth person or the first person cycles again and goes for the 4th one but misses, so they get all 3. So if they have 4 more buckets that if they get, then they're out. So you just play it until when you get 7 buckets, you're out of the game. And so if there's 3 players, then if one person's out, then the other 2 will continue to play until one person's out. The next one is fireball, and that's when everybody just shoots the ball as quick as you can, one at a time, and just tries to get as many baskets as you can, and everybody has a ball. And let's see, this is number 6, is around the world. And the way you play around the world is some variations say that you start with a layup. So the first ball basket is going to be made right here at this spot closest to the basket on this line, and you kind of go around the key. If you make the shot, then you get to move on to the next spot, which is the mid spot on this lane line here. And then you go to this corner, then you go to the foul shot, and then go all the way around the key. Now if the first person that starts makes a basket, when they miss, the next person gets a chance to start around the world, basically, or around the key. There's a variation with this game that you can play it where you just go straight around. If you miss, you just stay in the place that you missed. And like if you're at the foul shot and you missed the shot, then you just stay there till it's your turn again and try to make that. But there is a variation that makes it more challenging, that you actually have to go back a space if you miss the shot you're trying to go for, or you go back to the very beginning, so you can just play it either way. The next game is number 7, and it's called 21. It's basically a one-on-one game, and you play half court, and the game is that you make points to 21, and the first person will actually start at the free throw line, and they will dribble, and the other person tries to prevent them from making the basket, and they will shoot the basket in, just kind of like one-on-one, and if they don't make it, then they'll get the rebound. The other person, the second person, will try to get the rebound. Now if they do get the rebound, they have to clear the ball, which means they have to dribble it all the way back to the free throw line and clear the ball and then come back, and then that kind of makes it feel or resume the game as though they went to the other side of the court if they were playing full court. But this way you only play with half court. And so that's 21. Whoever gets 21 first is the winner. You can also play it to where if you make the shot, then you get to have a free free throw shot and have a chance at one of those each time you make a basket. Game number 8 is called 5 in a row. And how you play that game is you pick a spot on the court about 6 feet away from the basket, and you have to make 5 baskets in a row. Once you've made the 5 shots at that spot, you have to step back, a big giant step backwards, and make 5 more shots in the same place, and then step back again. Number 9 is trick shot horse. So you play horse, but instead of just regular baskets, you have to actually make like granny shots behind the back, under the leg. It has to be trick shots. Number 10 is musical baskets and basketballs, musical basketballs. And this game could be interesting for adults and teenagers. I think it would be fun to watch a bunch of older people play this game instead of little kids. What you do is you put if you've got 5 players, then you put 4 basketballs in the center of the circle, and it's going to be probably right out here. Just kind of have a circle right where above the free throw line and right at the 3-pointer line. So you have them circled the balls, and the music's playing, and you can play whatever music you want. And then when the music stops, somebody stops it without letting on that it's going to stop, then everybody grabs a ball and has to make a basket. So that could be interesting for older people, but it's a good one for young kids, and it could be fun and exciting to see what older people do. You could add different things where they have to make the basket on the first try or whatever, and or else they're out. And anyways, that could be interesting. Then you take 1 ball away with each round. Of course, the person who didn't get the ball, there's 5 players, 4 balls, they're out. And anybody else who didn't make their basket, that would be a fun variation. And then whoever's left, if there's 3 people left, let's say one person didn't make the basket, so there's 3 people left, so you put 2 balls in the middle for the next round. So the next one is firing squad. That's number 11. And this game is just that everybody has their own ball, and they shoot as fast as they can in a certain amount of time to see how many shots they can get. Whoever gets the most shots wins. I guess you have to be on your honor. Number 12 is the game of golf. So you're playing golf on the basketball court. So you have 18 spaces, and maybe you could have sticky notes on the court that have magic marker that says 1 through 18 holes basically, or you could do a 9-hole, and everybody has to make their shot. You can take turns. Let's say there's 2 people, so the first person makes a shot at hole number 1, and you've determined where your holes are going to be. Maybe they're more difficult on the court as you progress, and you just have to make them consecutively. The next one is game number 13, and this is sharks and minnows. Now this is more than 2 players, so you divide up your group into 2 different teams, and one team is the sharks. The minnows have the ball, so every minnow is going to have a basketball. And you start maybe at the baseline at one side of the court, and you're going to go to the opposite court, or you can start at the free throw line if you only have half a court. The sharks are going to try to keep the minnows from getting a basket, and they are going to try to steal the ball, and the minnows have to try and shoot the basket and get to the other side before the sharks get their ball away. Now if the shark does get the ball away, then the minnows become sharks on the next round. If the minnow can get to the other side and make a basket, they are safe. And then they start again at the free throw line, or if you do the whole court on the other side of the court. It's more challenging probably for older kids for the full court. And try it again, and whoever's the last minnow is the winner. And the last 2 minnows can start the next game as sharks. So that's kind of fun. Now number 14 game is called home run, and it's kind of like baseball. And actually you can play this with just 2 people. So you have one person trying to dribble the ball around the key, and one person at the top of the key making baskets. Now, once the person at the top of the key makes baskets, they tell the next person to freeze or stop. And the person that's dribbling has to dribble around the key and get from the baseline back there all the way around the court to the other side of the baseline. So they go all the way around the key. And if they can do that before the other person makes a basket, then they win, and then they trade off. Game number 15 is basketball tag. Let's say if you have two people, one person is the tagger, the other person is the dribbler, and they try to make it without having them steal the ball. What rules I saw was that the dribblers have to dribble on the lines, so they can go anywhere in the court, but they have to stay on the line. And all the lines on the courts are connective, so you have to stay on the lines. If you dribble off the lines, then you're out and have to be one of the taggers the next round. Or if the tagger catches you, or I'm thinking steal the ball, but you can play it, to what level you want to. Game number 16 is buzzer beater, and this is where you set a timer, like for 10 seconds, and the person has to see how many baskets they make. Game 17 is relay. So a person has the ball, and they could start at the baseline at this side of the court and go to the foul line, and the next person takes the ball to the next foul line, or to center court, and then the next person takes it to the next foul line, and the next person takes it to the next one. And that game is probably best played with, of course, two teams. At the very end, the last person will make the basket, and they have to make the basket before they win. So whichever team gets their team all the way down, passing the ball, and you might even add some variations. I think this would be kind of fun. Like, you have to pass it under the leg the first time. You have to chest pass it the second time. You have to pass it behind your back the third time, something like that. Or you can, spread it out, not even in a single line, but different places on the court, and that would be kind of fun. Number 18 is lightning. It's a little bit like knockout, but it's not as aggressive. The first person will shoot for the shot and try to make a basket, and then they'll get their own rebound. So you have your own ball, and then they'll go to the back of the line, and the next person will shoot, and it's just lightning fast. You see how many you can do in a certain amount of rounds or a certain amount of time, and whoever gets the most wins. Next one is 19. It's all-star shootout. You can pick like 5 different places on the court. I think this would be kind of fun. And each spot, or you could even use sidewalk chalk outside if you're on an outdoor court, and you write a number 1 or a number 2 or a number 3, and those are the amount of points you will make for a certain shot. So the more difficult shots will have the higher points. And each person can take a turn, and you can have several different, you can say we're going to go 5 rounds. So each person will take a turn to choose any place on the court. If the easier shots, of course, are going to get less points, but somebody could win if you have 5 rounds with 5 points if the other person misses all their shots, So if the first person decides to step on the circle that has, or the number that has a number 5, and it's maybe a 3-pointer shot, or it's a very difficult shot, then that person will get 5 points if they make it. But if they miss, then of course they don't get any on that round. But the next person will pick any spot on the court. If they know they can make a certain shot, they will want to step on that spot. The last game, which I think is one of probably the funnest games of all these, it's called Poison, and it's a game of survival, of tactic, and of shooting skills, and a little bit of luck. You could do it with 2 people, but it's funner with a bunch. So let's say we have 5 people, and they're going to line up on the foul line, just like along it, or anywhere on the other side of the foul line. And the first person is going to make a shot. You'll have like a line and say you're first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. And But you can move anywhere on the court. But you know that you're number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. You can roll a dice to see who's what, or play a game of who makes the baskets gets to be, you know, gets to be first. So the first person shoots a basket, and then it bounces once, and they have to catch the rebound, and then they have to try and shoot the ball again right where the rebound landed. And okay, it's starting to rain, so if it gets a little wet out here while I'm explaining this poison game, that's why. So then they make their second basket, and if they make the basket, then they catch the rebound after 1 bounce. If they miss it after 1 bounce, they're out of the game, or they're out of the game. And if they catch their ball from some reason on the first bounce, before it bounces once, they're out also. But let's say that they make their second basket and they catch it. Now the third basket, they can do a little bit of strategy here. They can either try and make that basket, and once they make the basket and catch it, they can yell poison, and everybody on the court has to run. But I mean, once they've made that third shot, they're going to run, because then the person making the basket is going to catch the ball after 1 bounce and yell poison once they've caught that ball. And when they say poison, everyone has to freeze, and then they can roll the basketball to any person on the court, and if the people have to freeze, and if so it's a game of bowling now, and if you hit the person, if it touches the person as it rolls that they're aiming for, then that person is out. Now, if that first person is making a basket and they don't get to the 3 baskets, if they make a basket, the second one they miss, the second person in line has to catch that ball after only 1 bounce, or they're out. So they want to kind of stay close to the basket, and that's why it's critical for that second person to kind of stay close, even if that first person's making the 3rd basket, because they don't know if they might trick them and pretend they're going to make a basket and not make the basket, and then the person has to hurry and run and get the ball before it bounces a second time, or they're out. And so that's another strategy that can be played with that. But that's a fun game to play, and you just go through every person. The second person makes the shot. If they miss, the third person has to catch the ball after only 1 bounce, etc. Those are 20 fun games on the court. And before it rains too tragically hard, I'm going to actually just make a few shots. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.